Hi everyone, this is Lucy O'Brien from IGN. I am here with...
Keza McDonald, also from IGN.
So I am from the Australian office, Keza, you're from the UK office.
That's right.
And we are here in Paris. Where are we, specifically?
We're in the motion capture studio at Quantic Dream, where they are currently making Beyond. And this is Ellen Page's bench.
This is Ellen Page's bench.
So we've seen the first, we've seen about 45 minutes of the game, and we've played a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So we want to have a conversation about how it's coming across right now.
What did you think, Keza?
Well, it's really difficult with a game like this that's going to have loads and loads and loads of scenes. This covers 15 years of Jodie Holmes' life, so big game. It's really difficult when you only see one scene to really figure out how that's going to pan out, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we should say first, before we do anything else, there are going to be some spoilers in this, so if you don't want to know anything about Beyond, then stop watching, but please keep watching, because, you know, we like you. But the thing that we got shown was a low point, definitely, in Jodie's life.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really low point, I think. She was on the streets.
Yep.
I think we can...
In the cold, it was snowing.
It was snowing. She wasn't feeling great about herself, I think.
And some really hardcore shit went down.
Some really hardcore shit.
Really hardcore.
And what was interesting, because obviously, as you said, this was taken out of context, but there were a lot of key sort of massive events that happened in a really short space of time.
Yeah, it did kind of throw everything at us at once. I guess we should cover the basics of the game first.
Yep.
So you don't just play as Jodie in Beyond, you play as her invisible friend.
Tied to her with this cord.
Yeah, Aiden. He's like a ghost, right? So you can switch between the two characters at any time. So if you're controlling Jodie, then it's a little bit like Heavy Rain. Yeah. So movement on the left stick, actions on the right stick, and some buttons. And if you're controlling Aiden, then you're a kind of first-person ghosty. And you can mess with stuff. First-person ghosty?
First-person ghosty. It's that, you know, that classic
only one other game in that genre, being Geist on the GameCube from 2006.
Right, nice.
Paranormal first-person ghost 'em up. Yeah. Famous. So when you're playing as Aiden, you can mess with stuff that's out. So you can knock stuff over, you can flip tables, you can do all these different things.
You can possess people.
You can possess people, you can kill people.
Yeah.
Choke them. And he seems to be quite an angry ghost.
He's very possessive.
He is. Both literally and figuratively possessive in that he possesses things.
He possesses things, and he's also very possessive of Jodie. And while she does have a certain degree of control over Aiden, there are times when he goes a little crazy.
Yeah. So you play both of them. You can switch between the two. It looked like pretty much any time, right? Like freely. Yeah. You can switch between Aiden and Jodie, and you have to get them to collaborate to get through certain stuff. Like if Jodie's falling from a high place, then you can get Aiden to kind of shield her so she doesn't hurt herself. This kind of stuff. It looked like it worked pretty well. Yeah, and you know, from the very small amount that we've played, it worked. Yeah. I mean, there were things like he would fly through fire to get a fire extinguisher and ghost it towards her. Yeah, he'd like open doors with ghosty powers. Yeah. But the thing, obviously, for her is that Aiden's like a blessing and a curse, right? So a lot of the game seems to be, certainly the bits we saw seem to be her just being like, why can't you leave me alone? Yeah. Why are we stuck together like this? And certainly the big 40-minute chunk that we saw, it was her just saying, I don't want this anymore. I wish that this wasn't my life. Yeah, and it was quite affecting. Like the first stuff we saw of Heavy Rain, this is reminding me of this, because the first stuff we saw of Heavy Rain was Ethan's relationship with his kids, or his remaining kid. And the first stuff that we've seen of Beyond was that big chase that we saw through the forest at E3, and that was a very, very different kind of feel. This certainly started off much quieter, right? It did. It started off quiet. Yeah, and then everything kind of happened at once. Everything happened at once. I've got to say, I'm a little bit wary of, because video game storytelling, right, when it's going for emotional impact, it tends to just throw everything at you, like, oh, death, parent stuff, let's do homelessness, suicide. They just kind of throw everything at you until something hits an emotional chord. Yeah. And in that scene, there was a tiny bit of danger of that happening, but again, well, it certainly tried to fine line, because some bits really got me. You know, some bits where I really felt, and of course, Ellen Page. She's done a great job in this. Yeah, great performance capture. Only L.A. Noire, I think, has done performance capture this convincing ever before in video games. And it's certainly, like, just to go off on a quick tangent, it's certainly the most dramatic role I've ever seen Ellen Page do, which is kind of an amazing thing to say considering it's a video game. Yeah. Like, it's a proper role. You definitely feel like you're watching a performance. And I think you feel a connection with her just because of how she looks, you know, the fidelity of her, you know, her face. You do kind of have empathy with her. Yeah. Even when ridiculous things start happening, even when the ridiculous starts happening, you're still kind of there with it. Yeah. There was one scene in the stuff we just saw where basically someone gives birth in the game. Yeah, and we both found that was kind of the wall for us, I think, at that point, where it was very much like, Ellen, or Jodie, as she's actually called, was kind of helping to kind of birth this baby.
Well, we interestingly enough, we both had the same thought at the same time. We were a little concerned that Aiden was going to help the baby
I just
go
get
out.
in there, just
because he's got these powers, of course, of
pushing
manipulation
stuff.
And he could have possessed the baby.
He could have possessed the baby.
It could have just wiggled its way out.
We were honestly envisioning like a press up on the right stick to birth baby. That thankfully did not happen. I was like, seriously, I was like this, like please don't let that happen. So that didn't happen. But that scene was, I mean, I've never seen that before in a game. We've never been there before.
No, we really haven't. No. And like, it's interesting because just hearing other people's reactions towards it. I mean, it was a little much, but only really because there was so much other stuff that had happened before it. And by that point, it was like, oh God, really?
Yeah, like it threw just a lot at us at once.
It did, but then, this is very much out of, what we saw was very much out of context. And David Cage is playing a lot with time in this game.
Yeah.
So he mentioned Memento as a source of inspiration for Beyond, so...
It's not going to be chronological. Although you are following Jodie from age 8 to age 23, it looks like it's going to be all mixed up. So I'm guessing there is going to be stuff that you don't know about.
Yeah.
Like you'll play her as an young woman, as opposed to a child or a teenager, and there'll be mysteries that you'll maybe find out about her past and about her past relationship with Aiden, which is a really cool idea.
Yeah, and they've certainly, I think, the approach towards Jodie is they're really looking at her as like, this is young, because they've got like 40 different versions of her.
Yeah, different clothes, different haircut.
Yeah, so there's, young Jodie and then teenage Jodie and homeless Jodie.
Yeah. Poor homeless Jodie.
Poor homeless Jodie.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, and certainly, we also saw a really small Jodie playing with her. You would have seen it in the Willem Dafoe reveal recently. Jodie is a little girl, but we saw a little bit more of that, and she just looks like a tiny little vulnerable Ellen Page.
She's cute. She's really cute.
She is really cute.
I mean, I think the main thing that's connecting about Beyond at the moment is firstly the idea of the kind of supernatural presence and the human being. Like, that's a cool connection. It's a cool dynamic. It's a cool gameplay dynamic, and it's also interesting, like, just from a story point of view. It's an interesting dynamic. But then the main thing is that it looks so good.
It does.
That you can't really help but kind of get into it, It is immersive that way.
Yeah, and I just think, there were things we saw in that... like facial expressions I'd never seen in a video game, like I don't know, not to sound too wanky, but sort of reluctant acceptance.
Yeah,
just like shit, stuff like that you just never see in video games, because obviously the technology has been somewhat limiting. But yeah, they really this game does look good.
It does look good. I mean, what remains to be seen really for us, I think for both of us really, by the sounds of it, is how the scenes kind of work and whether there's a good rhythm to it, and whether there are down points and up points, or whether it's just relentlessly going to be throwing stuff at you the whole time. I mean, I guess from what we talked to David Cage about it, and he's kind of insisting that it'll be a bit more like Heavy Rain. There will be moments of quietude as well, which will be good for the game.
Yeah, no, well, just to get just so the tone kind of lets you settle a little bit. But other ways that they've really tried to make this a more immersive experience, they've got rid of the ubiquitous QuickTime events that they had in Heavy Rain.
Press X to Jason. No more.
No more of that.
No more of that.
There's still dialogue. It's still all...
You've still got the buttons floating around
the buttons
head
going...
to do reactions, kind of like in Heavy Rain, like in LA Noire.
Yeah.
You've got the occasional thing where you have to hold R1 or L1 or X to make her do something, but usually you use the right stick, right?
Yeah, and it feels intuitive. I thought it felt really intuitive.
Like anything you can interact with in the world has a little white dot on it, and you have to and the action scenes are really quite interesting. These I don't think work quite so well.
Well, we didn't get a chance to play any of the action scenes.
But it looked like basically you have to guess whenever she's being hit, it goes into slow motion. You have to kind of push the right stick in the direction to either block or re-attack.
So it's bullet time essentially. That's how Cage described it.
Yeah, but without playing it, it looked quite difficult to tell what it wanted from you, whether it wanted left, up, right, or down.
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll know when we play that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really hard to tell. I was unsure of even just the the sort of intuitiveness of the right stick, and that worked for me.
Yeah.
Really
well, I mean, it was like remember when we first saw Heavy Rain, and it was just like, how does that work?
Yeah.
And then it turned out it was actually pretty easy to use.
Yeah.
So hopefully it will turn out equally well.
Yeah, and Cage also said that because they're working on a new engine, this isn't a reskinned Heavy Rain engine, and he also said that they've learned a lot from their early development on the PlayStation 4, which is interesting. And I think a lot of that is going to come out in things like lighting and...
Yeah. So the engine they've made now is like a late-stage engine that's, kind of halfway towards a PS4 engine, basically, right? Is what he was saying.
Yeah, it's sort of like diet PS4.
Yeah. So presumably they're working on something on PS4 as well.
Well,
I think we can
one
safely
safely assume.
Yeah. Well, we'll dig for information on that. So yeah, I mean, overall, we're pretty impressed.
Yeah.
By the sounds of it. But there's a lot to prove, and of course, there's always that danger of it just going a bit too far. Which, let's be honest, Quantic Dream's games have gone a bit too far in the past sometimes. But they seem to be learning with every single iteration. So I'm hopeful definitely that it won't.
Well, it's a very ambitious game. They're definitely ramping up the, I hate using this word, but the epicness of it.
The epicness. That is a noun.
A fairy dies every single time you say that. But yeah, they've really sort of exploded this. This is a big world. This is ambitious storytelling. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more.
Indeed, and for everything else on Beyond, stay with us on IGN.